Okay, students, 2B, we'll do 2B, C, and D. Now it says without sketching each parabola. You can do that without sketching a parabola, but for the purposes of this lesson, it makes no sense to not draw it. I know for 2A, I didn't draw it, and then I'm thinking about it. It makes no sense because I'm trying to explain it to you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and draw it, and then you'll know how to do it without drawing. So 2B, y equals minus x plus 4 squared. See this minus sign? Automatically I know it's going to open downwards. It's going to be upside down. It's going to be flipped. Remember we were talking about verbs. It's going to be flipped. This plus 4 inside the brackets before we square it means it's a horizontal or horizontal shift to the left or the right. Now if it's plus, intuitively you'd think it'd go in the positive direction, but that's not true. It actually goes into the negative direction by 4. So now we have a vertex at, right here. Our vertex is at minus 4, 0. Let's write that down. Vertex, minus 4, 0, and it opens downwards. Is there a stretch? No. So we have the same step pattern. 1, 3, and 5, 7, etc., etc. 1, 3, 5. And we draw our parabola. Now, let's talk about the information that's required of us. State the direction of opening. Opens downwards. We knew that from the negative. So without drawing, we would have known that from the negative alone, that it opens downwards. What else do we need? We need the equation of the axis of symmetry. This is the equation. This is the axis of symmetry. What do we know about this line? We know that y can be anything, but x equals minus 4. So we take this value, and we just, if it's positive, we know that axis of symmetry double M. Symmetry is x equals minus 4. What else does it ask us for? The domain. Domain for all quadratic equations equals all real numbers. Range equals all real numbers such that, and we get it from this value right here, plus 0, right? It doesn't shift up or down, such that y is less than or equal to 0, right? Because it cannot be, there's no value for y in this range over here. That's why it has to be less than 0. It exists anywhere underneath this x-axis. What's the last thing it asks us to do? Does it have a max or versus min? Well, there's a maximum value, right? It goes up until it reaches 0. Does it go higher than 0? No, it's max equals 0. That's how we do part 2B. All right, let's see how to do part 2C. 2C is the following. Where is that? It's right here. Y equals x minus 2 plus 1. X minus 2 squared plus 1. Okay, so opens like that, upward. Let's write it down here. We'll write all of our properties right here. Opens upward. Our vertex, basically our base case is right here at the 0. It goes up 1. This plus 1 means it's going to be translated upwards by 1. And this negative 2 means it's going to go 2 units that way. So we end up drawing, our vertex is right there. And our vertex is going to be -2, or sorry, +2. +2, 1. +2, 1. Now, without looking at this, our vertex is going to be taken from these two numbers. Okay? It'll be, this is my y value, this 1. And this, if you have a minus, you just take the number. And that's my x value. Okay? Next step. Next step will be to talk about, it opens upwards. So let's just roughly draw it. It's symmetric along this line. Axis of symmetry is, well, x equals 2. Y can equal anything around this line. Here it's equal to 10. Y is equal to 5 here. Y is equal to -5 here. But one thing constant is that x equals 2. So that's my axis of symmetry. What else does it ask for? Our domain. Our domain is always easiest thing. It's all real numbers. Our range. All real numbers such that y is greater than or equal to 1. That means I have, look, I have a minimum value. It cannot go lower than 1. Min equals 1. There we go. We now have, that's B. Was that B or what did we do? No, that was C. Let's do D. D is pretty much exactly the same. But this time we'll try and do it without looking at, we'll try and do it without drawing. Okay, 2D. Y equals minus x plus 1 minus 2. Okay, so look. We know that this negative means it looks like that. Opens downward. Our domain is always the same. We'll just write it here. Domain equals all real numbers. Our range is equal to all real numbers such that y, something about y. Now, because it's upside down, we know that y has to be less than a certain number. Now, less than what number? We get that from there. Y has to be less than -2. Because remember, this shifts it down from 0 down two values. So the vertex was here. It gets shifted down to -2. By the way, this 1 shifts it in that direction to 1. So our parabola, well, that's an ugly parabola. Let's just draw it ugly. It's fine. That's our max value. Do you see how y is defined everywhere south of, or sorry, below or less than -2? But in this range, y is not defined. Therefore, y has to be less than -2. All right, what else does it ask us to have? We have a max value of -2. Do we have a minimum value? No, it keeps going. This parabola keeps going to where? To -infinity. Oh, and a vertex, of course. Vertex we get from these two values. Now, if it's a plus, you know that it's a -1. Oh, I have writing everywhere. Let's change the color. minus 1. Vertex is minus 1 and minus 2. And then finally, do I have max, min, domain, range? Oh, axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry, let's write it here. Axis of symmetry is always right here at the vertex. And this is x equals -1. We get it from right here. X equal -1. And that's it. That's how we do question 2.